In the dense landscapes of Colombia, a shadow loomed, a monster cloaked in the guise of a beggar, a monk, or a traveling salesman. This is the chilling story of Luis Alfredo Garavito, a name that sends shivers down the spine of an entire nation. Known as La Bestia, the Bestia, his reign of terror in the 1990s left a scar on Colombia that has never truly healed. How could one man commit such unspeakable acts, targeting the most vulnerable among us? Today, we're not just looking at the crimes, we're delving into the dark, twisted labyrinth of a mind that became a vessel for pure evil. We'll explore the life, the methods, and the disturbing psychology of one of history's most prolific serial killers. This is a difficult story, but one that must be told to understand the depths of human darkness and honor the memories of those who were lost. Luis Garavito was a phantom. He moved through the impoverished and chaotic regions of Colombia like a ghost, preying on desperation. His targets were almost exclusively young boys, often poor, displaced, or living on the streets. These children, already victims of circumstance, were searching for a kind face, a meal, or a small amount of money. Garavito offered them just that. He was a master of disguise and deception. One day he might be a friendly farmer offering work, the next a holy man promising guidance, or a disabled person needing help. He exploited their innocence and their trust, luring them away from the safety of towns and into remote areas where no one could hear their cries. He would offer them a small gift, a drink, or some food. A simple gesture of kindness that was, in reality, the first step in a horrifying trap. This calculated approach, this weaponization of compassion, is what made him so terrifyingly effective. To understand the monster, we must look at the boy. Luis Garavito was born in 1957 in Genova, Colombia. His childhood was not one of warmth or safety. It was a brutal existence marked by extreme poverty and relentless abuse. He was the eldest of 7 children, and from a young age, he was subjected to horrific physical and emotional violence at the hands of his own father. This constant trauma, this daily reality of pain and fear, twisted his development in profound ways. His early life was a lesson in cruelty. He learned that the strong prey on the weak, and that violence is a tool for control. While a difficult childhood can never excuse the monstrous acts he would later commit, it offers a glimpse into the fractured foundation upon which his personality was built. The seeds of rage, resentment, and a complete lack of empathy were sown early, watered by years of suffering, and would eventually grow into a forest of pure evil. The 1990s in Colombia were a time of great turmoil. The country was grappling with civil conflict, political instability, and the chaos of powerful cartels. It was within this backdrop of societal breakdown that Garavito thrived. He exploited the cracks in the system. With millions of people displaced by violence, a missing child from a poor family often went unnoticed. Law enforcement agencies were overwhelmed, underfunded, and focused on other pressing threats. Jurisdictional boundaries meant that if a body was found in one region, the police there might have no idea about similar cases happening just a few towns over. Garavito was a nomadic killer, moving constantly between different departments, making it nearly impossible for investigators to connect the dots. He was a predator who understood his environment perfectly, using the nation's chaos as his personal hunting ground, a vast territory where his crimes could go unseen and unpunished for years. The sheer scale of Garavito's crimes is almost incomprehensible. The official count stands at 147 confirmed victims, but the true number is believed to be much, much higher, possibly over 300. His method was tragically consistent. After luring a child away with false promises, he would bind them and subject them to unspeakable horrors before ending their life. The discovery of mass graves across Colombia began to paint a terrifying picture. In Pereira, Maticaya, and dozens of other locations, the earth gave up its horrifying secrets. Skeletons of children, often found with the same telltale signs of violence, began to surface. For years, these were treated as isolated incidents. It was on and until a few determined investigators started seeing a Paterna phantom killer who left a trail of small bodies across the country. They began to piece together the puzzle, connecting the different grave sites and realizing they were not dealing with multiple killers, but one single, horrifyingly prolific monster. The breakthrough in the case came in April 1999. Garavito was arrested on an unrelated charge, but his face matched a composite sketch that had been circulated by investigators. He began to talk, and what he revealed was a confession of nightmares. He didn't just admit to the crimes, he remembered them with chilling clarity. He led authorities to dozens of burial sites, pointing out the final resting places of his victims with a detached, almost bureaucratic demeanor. He kept detailed diaries and maps, chronicling his journey of death across the country. This wasn't a man tormented by guilt. This was a meticulous record keeper, proud of his work. His confession was a tour through hell, and as he spoke, the full, horrifying scope of his depravity was finally laid bare for the world to see. Colombo was forced to confront the reality that a man had been systematically hunting his children for nearly a decade, completely undetected. So, what goes on inside the mind of a monster like Luis? Psychologists who studied him pointed to a severe case of psychopathy, characterized by a total lack of empathy, guilt, or remorse. He saw his victims not as human beings, but as objects for his gratification. They were disposable. His own childhood trauma likely fueled a deep-seated rage and a desire for power and control over others, especially the weak and innocent, just as he had once been. He was reenacting the abuse he suffered, but this time, he was the one in power. Some have speculated he may have suffered from a personality disorder, but no diagnosis can truly explain the methodical cruelty he displayed. He claimed a second personality or an external force made him do it, a common tactic for killers trying to deflect responsibility. But the evidence, his detailed planning, his cunning disguises, and his meticulous records all point to a conscious, calculating predator who knew exactly what he was doing and enjoyed it. The legal outcome of Garavito's case sparked outrage across Colombia and the world. He was initially sentenced to a staggering 1,853 years in prison. However, due to the laws in Colombia at the time, the maximum sentence a person could serve was capped at 40 years. Even more shocking, because he confessed and cooperated with authorities by leading them to the bodies, his sentence was further reduced. He could potentially be released after serving as little as 22 years. The idea that the beast could one day walk free is a prospect that terrifies the nation. This case exposed major flaws in the Colombian justice system and ignited a fierce debate about sentencing for such heinous crimes. For the families of the victims, it was a secondary trauma, a feeling that justice was not only denied, but mocked. The thought of his potential freedom remains a source of profound fear and anger to this day. The legacy of Luis Garavito is a dark and complex one. He is a permanent stain on Colombia's history, a symbol of the ultimate evil. His case served as a brutal wake-up call, highlighting the vulnerability of children in impoverished and unstable societies. It forced improvements in how law enforcement agencies communicate and investigate crimes against children. It led to the creation of new laws and initiatives aimed at protecting the most vulnerable, but his legacy is also one of immense pain. For the countless families who lost a son, a brother, a nephew, the wounds will never close. The empty chairs at their tables will never be filled. The story of Garavito is a harrowing reminder that monsters are not just characters in fairy tales. They can walk among us, wherein the most ordinary of faces. It teaches us the critical importance of vigilance, of protecting our children, and of never forgetting the victims whose voices were stolen. As we conclude this difficult journey into the darkness, it's crucial to remember that this is not just a story about a monster. It is a story about 147 confirmed lives, and likely hundreds more that were cut tragically short. It's about the boys who had names, families, and dreams. Their stories matter. We must honor their memory by learning from this tragedy and working to create a world where children are safe from such predators. This case reminds us to be aware and to listen when the most vulnerable among us cry for help. If you or someone you know is struggling with trauma or mental health issues, please know there is support available. Reaching out to a professional is a sign of strength. Thank you for watching and for bearing witness to this important, though painful, story.